Next up, we'll discuss the P in DPS, the port number. Due to the fact that many AMX products have multiple port numbers, every item in the Define Device section must list the port number. Since device 0 is the master, we always use port 1 for communicating directly with the master. Port number 2 is not used, and any port above 3 is used for connections to IP devices. These ports should be assigned in numeric order so that DVIP device 1 is 0:3:S, DVIP device 2 is 0:4:S, where S is the system number, which we'll cover in the next tutorial. Next in the range is AXLink devices. Since all AXLink devices only have exactly one port, we always use port 1 when defining AXLink devices. Here's a simple rule to remember. If the device number is between 1 and 255, the port number will always be set to 1. If you're working on a legacy system which contains Netlink's cards in a card frame with device numbers between 301 and 3072, please refer to the Netlink's control cards datasheet for required port numbering. It can be found on the AMX.com website. Next, we have the Netlink's integrated controller at device 5001. AMX has standardized the port numbering on all controllers going forward. The standard port number ranges are as follows. Serial ports are 1 through 10. IR output ports are 11 through 20. Relays are port 21, and digital IOs are on port 22. If you have the hardware handy, you can simply look at the backplane of your controller. The port numbers are screen printed right on the back. It's also worth noting that this range only applies to the NX and DVX X200 integrated controllers. On other devices, the ports are numbered in numeric order. The next one is the 5002 device. The port number to be used will depend on the device you have and what specific function you are controlling. As an example, basic video routing commands are sent to port 1 on the Innova switchers, but audio commands are sent to port 2 on the DGX X100. The list of port numbers used for other specific commands are listed in the instruction manual for each device in the Send Commands section of the Hardware Reference Manual. The same process should be followed for determining the port number to reference for the 5101 through 5164 EXP devices. However, it's worth mentioning here that since the EXP REL8 and EXP IO8 only have one port, port 1 is always used when communicating to either of these ICS LAN boxes. In the range of 5301 through 5464, the DXLink transmitters and receivers actually have 8 ports, and the port number used determines which function on the device you are managing. Next are Modero touch panels, which start at device 10001. An important note about port numbering for touch panels is that a unique device must be defined to represent each port on the panel you want to use later in your code. For example, if you place all of your audio system control buttons on port 4, then in define device, you would write dvtp_conference102 audio gets 10001:4:S. Then later, add lighting control to port 5, you'd add dvtp_conference102 lights gets 10001:5:S to the define device section. And once again, the :S is referring to the system number, which we'll get to in the next tutorial. Another important note about defining touch panels is that all Modero touch panels have a maximum of 100 ports. However, it's not considered best practice to use high port numbers due to the amount of system resources each port consumes. For all devices greater than 32,000, typically only port 1 is used. Okay, 2 down, 1 to go. Let's move on to the S in DPS.